Hi everyone, and welcome back to Becoming with Ashna. I have something that has really been on my mind today. Well, it's been on my mind and my heart and my body for some time now, but I actually read a book today, and I'm fairly certain I've talked about this in the past, that I do feel very intuitively guided and led to the books that I read. And I read a lot of romantasy, and I'm not saying sometimes they're not just like guilty pleasure, which they definitely are, I'm sure, because I get so obsessive about it. But a lot of the times, the books that I'm reading, the books that I'm drawn to, are very much around topics that I'm currently going through in my life right now, or there's something that I really need to learn. And today, the book that I finished, it was the second in a series, was one of the latter. Like, there's something I really needed to learn. And first, I'm going to talk about what's been on my mind and my heart and my learnings from reading the book, because I feel like the book has really put some missing puzzle pieces in context for me, and now I feel like my heart is so much full. I still have to kind of work on integrating it in my body, but I have all of the information that I need. So I'm talking a lot, but I'm not being very vague. So something that I have shared a lot about before is how I feel like a lot of my friendships have sort of gone away. Like, a lot of the people I thought would be in my life forever, or a lot of my support system that I thought would not disappear, has kind of disappeared. And it's something that I've been noticing the last couple of months as well, where a lot of my friendships seem to fade. And I mean, that's a whole other lesson that I'm not going to talk about today, but something that I really struggle with is opening my heart up to people and calling people my friend, and almost like letting people in, because something that I think I subconsciously think about is, well, what's the point of letting people in if they're going to leave me anyways, right? And I have been part of this co-working space, so I'm seeing all these really cool women all the time, and there's really been this internal battle, internal conflict with who do I open my heart to? How much do I open my heart to? And then it's like, I open my heart, and then the second someone does something that feels like a rejection, it kind of closes back up. And I know that logically that that's not the right way to live life, right? Like, why would I want to live life with a closed heart? Yeah, sure, I'm not getting hurt, but I'm also not opening myself up to the beauty that resides in people. And something I love about myself is that I really see the beauty in everyone. I really see the light and the difference people can have. I see how they're always trying to be more than what they are, how their soul is literally itching for more. And so that makes it really hard to not want to be friends with people. But I've been working on just being a lot more selective in general with like who I give my energy to. And it's one thing to be around cool people, and it's one thing to invite everybody into my heart and my mind and into my energetic field. But anyway, something that I was really struggling with is like, the second someone hurts me, my heart, like, you know, like one of those sliding doors, like it just like slides shut. And I have been talking about this with a couple people, and some beautiful souls have given me this guidance that, well, like, you just have to keep your heart open. You just have to keep doing what you're doing. And regardless of whether or not people pour back or give you what you want back, my heart has to stay open. Again, logically, I understand all this, but emotionally, I was having a lot of trouble connecting to this, because there's that little part of me, the little version of me, like little Ashna, who's just like tired of being hurt, who's tired of things not working out. And part of me would truly rather live an existence without anyone, so I never get hurt, versus letting people in and they hurting me. Anyways, clearly that's not where I want to be, but that's really how I felt for a long time. It's where I felt I was headed. And so anyways, this has been going on in the back of my head, and I read this book. So this book is centered around death, and at first it seems like death is the villain, because why? What does death bring? It brings grief, it brings loss. Well, I'm going to say he, because it's a he in this book. He brings lack, right? But then as the story progresses, and as we reach the end of the second book, we find out how much depth death has, and how death is deathly afraid, haha, of falling in love, of giving his heart away, to the extent where he's literally ripping his heart out. It's a, you know, it's a fantasy book. Let's go with it. But he's so afraid of love because he knows that he's going to live forever. He's death, he's a god, and he knows anyone who comes into his life, anyone he loves, is going to eventually die, because in this world it's like humans and he's the only god. But we reach the end of the book and he ends up like taking a chance, like being like, okay, I'm gonna be with you, and proceeds to have the most beautiful love with his wife, who of course inevitably dies, but they have beautiful children together. And we see that, you know, he has this beautiful wedding, and then we start to see pivotal points of his life. So he, his first baby, the first birth of their first 1 out of 3 baby. Then he's at the wedding of his oldest daughter. Then he's at the deathbed of his wife. Then he's at like decades down, like generations down the line, he's working with one of his great granddaughters to save, she's a doctor, so he's working with her to save like a mom who's giving birth, and she's performing one of her first C-sections. This is like in an ancient time, so it's not like modern day, so it's like a very scary procedure, and he helps her through it. He supports her. He and her in conjunction save this baby. And death is at the end of all of this, thinking about it, and the most, like, in the most beautiful way, talks about how grief and loss, yes, they are hurtful. It's hard to sit in them. It's hard to feel them, but they are the marker of a beautiful love, right? It's like grief and love are flip sides of the same coin. Hurt and love are flip sides of the same coin. And yes, you could choose not to engage in love and you're not going to get grief, but also life has so much beauty to offer. You cannot have one without the other. And we see in this instance where this person, this God, this man, who's so afraid of loving, how when he opens up his heart, and it's like, yes, his life is going to be full of goodbyes, because every generation people will die, right? His line will continue to die, but then they will continue to give birth. And in every goodbye and every hello, there's a goodbye, but there's always a hello. And it just really made me think about how I have been so afraid of opening up my heart, but there's so much joy to be found in living life with other people. There's so much joy to be found in community, however fleeting. And when I look back on my life, at every pivotal point when I have needed the support of someone, I remember I moved to Ireland. I did my senior year in Ireland, and I ended up finding this girl the latter half of the year, but I did a semester of classes, then I did a semester, 6 months of working, and first day of my job, I sit next to this girl, and we clicked. We had so much in common. We supported each other through so many downs and lows, and yes, that friendship didn't last, but when I needed her, she was there. And that's just one example. I feel like there have been so many times in my life where I have needed a friend to support me, to see me, to love me, and she has, or he has. And a lot of those friendships haven't lasted, but how beautiful that there were times when I really needed the support of someone and I got that support. And even when I think back to high school, like, I'm not friends with a lot of people I used to be friends with in high school, but I loved high school because it was a time where I felt so held by my friendships, where being in relationship with others taught me a lot about love and what it means to be loved and what it means to be emotionally held. And yes, like, I do grieve the fact that I haven't felt held like that in a long time, but how beautiful that 14 to 18-year-old me had that experience. And now I can grieve the loss of something so beautiful, but I wouldn't have been able to grieve if I didn't have it. But if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have been held and experienced so much love and growth in life. So I feel like reading this book and just like how they're both like opposite sides of the same coin really made me think about how I'm so afraid to lose, and it's making me afraid to love, but that really makes me feel like I'm going to be living my life in black and white, and I want to live my life in Technicolor. I feel like over the last couple of years, I've grown so much as a person. I found so much beauty and magic in every part of life that how can I shut myself off from friends because I'm afraid of being hurt? And afraid of being hurt, like these are all normal and natural things, but that can be applied to anything, right? Like it's not just about friendships. Like I was even thinking about, like I talk about my miscarriage, and I think a big part of me last year was grieving the life that I thought I was going to have, but also like that life that I felt like I was going to have, being a mom, doing all these things, was full of faith and hope and love, and I know I'm going to get that life later, just not now. And I needed to go through the cycle of loss and love, but ultimately that's also what's made me such a bigger person who can appreciate life so much more and who can appreciate the now. Because I feel like it's just because I think it's what it's really making me think about, also this book and this learning about what's been going on in my social area of life with my friends, is like I've been so afraid to live in the now because I'm afraid of the future. I'm afraid of what might happen, what might not happen. And there's so many ways in which that's holding me back. And I think the most beautiful lesson for me from all of this that I would love, like for you to also take away and and think about how it shows up in your life right now also, is like the importance of living in the now, living in the moment, and appreciating what we have right now. Because at any given point, we have so much abundance. Yes, there's loss, but there's also so much love. And even like when you look at the loss and you reflect on, well, I'm feeling the loss because I had so much love, and like really focusing on the love. And I believe that what we focus more on, we create more of. But I feel like we just live in such a society where like that's just not how we do things. And I think we're all, I just think that we're all missing out, including myself. And this was just such a beautiful lesson that I had to share it, because I don't know, I feel like I still haven't fully grasped how much it's going to change things, and how living in the now and letting go of the fear and embracing loss, embracing grief, embracing the sad, the bad parts of life is going to help me switch my perception and flip my perception, right? Because if I'm like, I can't have, like, the only reason I see this bad is because I had this beauty, so let's focus on the beauty. And that doesn't mean the bad doesn't exist or the sad doesn't exist, but how can I switch my perception to thinking about the beautiful things in life? How can I switch my perception in social area when I think about friends to like, I'm going to probably learn so much from the relationships I have, whether or not they last. I know, like, even now, I'm not close to certain girls, like I was talking about in my co-working, but they already like made me feel so held. They talk to me, they support me. So I'm gaining so much. So instead of me being lost in this whirlwind and tornado of, oh my gosh, what if they leave me? What if they never want to be my friend? What if they fade away? How can I just start to appreciate what I have in life? Because what you focus on, you create more of. And that's also been a theme for me recently. But anyways, thank you so much for listening. I hope that, obviously this was about me and my story, but I hope that you're able to draw some parallels and you're able to take something away. As always, if you have any questions, anything, I would love to hear from you. Yes, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, night, evening, week, weekend, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Bye.